Canadians are freezing in tents while Ottawa is literally giving away billions overseas. 2025 numbers prove our government is abandoning its own people. We're just letting it happen. Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Logan, and you're watching the 49th Line. This channel exists to talk about Canada honestly, not through a political party talking points and not through the mainstream media's spin, but through the lived reality of Canadians who feel like their country is slipping away from them. I don't owe loyalty to a political party. I owe loyalty to the country, to the people who work, pay taxes, raise families, and are getting crushed while politicians keep telling them that everything is fine. And that's exactly why we need to talk about what's going on in 2025, or what happened in 2025. We are going into 2026, and we need to stop pretending that 2025 was a year of progress. It wasn't. It was a year that exposed how badly Canada really is and how we're being mismanaged and how willing people are to defend the habit of our government out of fear or just blind loyalty. We were promised affordability, we were promised stability, and we were promised that the hard years were behind us. But for normal Canadians, not the politicians, and not the consultants, and definitely not the insiders, life got worse. Rent didn't drop, housing didn't become accessible, and groceries didn't get cheaper. Wages didn't catch up. And while Canadians were tightening their belts, canceling plans, working longer hours, and watching savings disappear, Ottawa kept spending like none of it mattered. Canada now sits on over $1.3 trillion in federal debt. And that number keeps climbing. That isn't the conservative debt or the liberal debt. That is your debt. Debt that your kids didn't vote for. Debt that your grandkids will be paying. And every time the government says, "Oh, we can afford it," what they really mean is that you'll deal with it later. And this is exactly why the idea that Mark Carney represents change is such a joke. Because let's stop pretending that this is a new direction. It isn't. Mark Carney didn't arrive in Ottawa to clean house. He arrived to protect the same system, the same priorities, the same global commitments, same spending habits that put Canada into this position in the first place. Different face, yes. Different resume, yes. But the same elite mindset, same priorities, with the same outcomes. Canadians were sold a rebrand and told it was a reform. But under Carney, the same global first thinking continued. The same international commitments, the same obsession with optics and the approval from institutions that do not live with the consequences of these decisions. And nowhere is that clearer than in foreign spending. In 2025, while Canadians were freezing, while tent cities expanded, and while food banks hit record usage, the federal government continued committing billions overseas. We just sent another $2.5 billion to Ukraine. For what? What is that helping? Let's stop speaking in vague terms and numbers. In 2025 alone, Canada committed another $2.5 billion in economic aid to the Ukraine, announced right at the end of the year before we roll into 2026, during a winter where Canadians were literally sleeping outside. Since the start of that conflict, Canada has committed well over $20 billion in combined financial, military, and humanitarian assistance. On top of that, Canada's annual international assistance budget sits nearly $8 billion every single year. And none of that money is coming from the surplus. It's borrowed. Borrowed while Canadians are already drowning in debt. Borrowed while Canadians are told there's no money for housing, healthcare access, or veterans. Borrowed while politicians pat themselves on the back for being generous with someone else's future. I'm going to say something politicians refuse to say because it breaks the illusion that they depend on. Canada should stop all foreign aid until Canadians are taken care of first. Not reduced, not revised, stopped. End it all. End it all until Canadians have homes, until seniors aren't choosing between food banks or food on their table and medications that keep them alive, until veterans aren't abandoned on our streets, and until working families can afford to live in the country that they pay their taxes to support. In that statement, and if that statement makes you angry, then ask yourself why. Why is it controversial to say Canadians should come first in Canada? Why is it considered extreme to demand that a government prioritizes its own citizens before chasing global praise? The government loves to talk about compassion. Compassion that ignores your own people is just performative. And let's be honest about who's really doing just fine under this system. Politicians, bureaucrats, lobbyists, consultants, corporate insiders, they're all prospering. The same people who always land on their feet, the same people who treat public office like a career ladder, the same people who cross the floor when it benefits them. Michael Ma, for instance. People who are abandoning the voters that elected them in the first place. You didn't vote for them to advance their political interests. You didn't vote for them to secure future jobs. You voted for them to represent you and the Canadians who are told that this is just how politics work. Screw that. This is how accountability disappears. And Mark Carney fits into that system perfectly. A global finance insider telling struggling Canadians to trust the process. Like, you gotta be kidding me. While the process keeps making lives worse for everybody. For young Canadians, 2025 sent a brutal message. Work harder, fall behind, save more, lose ground, follow the rules, never get ahead. Home ownership feels impossible for people. Starting a family feels like a financial reckless decision. Retirement feels like a joke. And yet, the government priority remains looking good internationally instead of fixing what's broken here at home. Now, this part is for the Liberal voters, and I want you to listen carefully because you guys piss off everybody. If you still believe that the Liberals are the only option, ask yourself this: are you supporting results or are you supporting a brand? You were never taught to question. Loyalty to a party is not a virtue. When it comes to the expense of your country, putting party before people isn't progress. It isn't compassionate. It's called tribalism. And Canada cannot afford tribalism anymore. You don't get to call yourself compassionate while defending policies that leave Canadians homeless. You don't get to claim fiscal responsibility while executing endless borrowing. And you don't get to pretend that this is progress just because people in charge tell you that it is. Real change does not come from rotating elites through the same institutions. It comes from rejecting the ideas that this is the best that Canada can do. 2025 wasn't a success by any imagination of the word. It was a warning. And if Canadians keep accepting more of the same because it feels familiar or because you're told that you cannot vote for the Conservative government because of your principles, what is the Liberal government doing to support you? They're doing absolutely nothing. We need 2026 to be better because if we just keep going down the same path, this will be irreversible. More debt, more dependence, more Canadians left behind, and the same politicians telling everyone that it's fine while sending you the bill. If you're tired of watching your country be mismanaged, it's time to take action, even if it's just with your voice. Like this video if you agree that Canadians should become more Canada first. Comment below with your thoughts and don't hold back. Share this with friends and family who need to wake up to what's really happening here at home. And if you want more hard-hitting truths about Canada, subscribe and check out the other videos here on the 49th line. Because change won't happen if you stay silent. It happens when you open your eyes and speak up and let the people know that are in charge that this is not acceptable. We should not be living in a Canada where we prioritize other people before your own people. That's just it. Like this video. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.